Hello, welcome to a special edition of Poetry Changes Lives. I just love talking about the way poetry changes lives. It changed my life, and throughout the centuries it has changed, I would suggest, millions of other people's lives, because it is so informative, inspiring, educational. It has the power to change our moods, and great poetry has always done that. There has never been a century when poetry has not been a force to be reckoned with in the culture of nations right across the world. And I think that's pretty remarkable, and you can't say that about many things. Well, my website, poetrychangeslives.com, tells you all about that. It has a daily reading from my book, Poetry Changes Lives. And if you go there, you can learn more about poetry, get inspired yourself, buy this book if you have a mind to. You can go straight to Amazon, of course, or walk right into a bookshop and order it for that matter. But I think it makes a nice daily book to dip in and out of, give as a present to your friends, that sort of thing. That's my sales blurb for the day. Today I'm talking about what a lot of other people are talking about. A very old but very powerful and quite remarkable poem, The Odyssey, written by the mysterious poet Homer, getting on for probably 3,000 years ago, right at the dawn of history, when writing was barely invented. Homer, probably his poetry began simply as being recited round a campfire, that sort of thing, because poetry was the way the history of a tribe was remembered before writing was invented. The rhythms, the meters, the rhymes of poetry lends it to a way of remembering things. And history is always important to remember. And wow, what a history Homer produced. His two great epics, the Iliad, the story of the Greek invasion of Troy and the defeat and sacking of the great city of Troy by the Greeks. Probably it was no more than a trade war. Troy was situated at the entrance to the Black Sea near the Bosphorus, and that's probably how it all began. But what a history to remember. And then secondly, his great epic, the story of Odysseus, the clever Greek king of Ithaca, probably responsible for the trick of the wooden horse that allowed the Greeks into the city of Troy, where they proceeded to attack and ransack the place. But the Odyssey is the story of King Odysseus's long and troublesome journey back from Troy after the war to his kingdom of Ithaca in western Greece, and all the troubles he encountered on the way. It's a remarkable story. Like all great epics, those two stories aren't just a recounting of battles won and that sort of thing. It's also the story of individual change. In the case of the Iliad, it tells how the Greek killing machine Achilles, the great warrior prince, turned from being a really very unpleasant killer into a man of compassion at the end, when he allows the wife and child of his great enemy Hector, whom he has ruthlessly slain and belittled in death. He shows compassion and allows Hector's wife and child to give Hector a decent burial. And again, in the case of the Odyssey, it's not just a story of Odysseus, king of Ithaca's travels back from Troy to Greece. It's the story of personal change, how King Odysseus changes from being a clever sort of Jack the Lad, the man who really swung the war in favor of the Greeks, into a man who again feels love and compassion and perhaps regret and remorse for the wife that he has left alone for so many years. And let's face it, he could have hurried a bit more to get back from Troy to Greece. It's only a matter of a few 100 miles. It needn't have taken him all those years. Still, he made it in the end, and 2 great tales as a result. People now argue about whether this film version, which I haven't seen, but I hear the argument. Some say it's great, some say it's not. But the point is, the real winner in all this isn't Christopher Nolan or Hollywood or any of these things. It's Homer himself, because like all great writers, like Shakespeare, for example, any great art thrives from being developed and parodied and copied and added to. It's like drawing a pair of spectacles on the face of the Mona Lisa. It's, in one way, it's horrific, but it may give you an insight as well, for all you know. And Christopher Nolan's effort, by all accounts, is very meritorious in many ways, and I'll give him that. But really, in the great scheme of things, Homer's been around for 3,000 years. It's no more than yet another pair of spectacles or moustache on the face of the Mona Lisa. It may be a very honest, insightful even attempt to show us a new Odyssey, but it go a long way. It'd have to be really, really good to surpass the original. Imagine the shock and power of those people 3,000 years ago sitting around a campfire, hearing those beautiful words of Homer in the original Greek. And my goodness me, it resonates with me. As a schoolboy, I learned Homer before I learned Shakespeare, and that's quite unusual. Wouldn't happen these days, I don't think. But I remember being absolutely staggered and intrigued by this mysterious, wise, really beautiful voice full of images and strange feelings of rage and compassion and sorrow and kindness, all in this wonderful story that goes back thousands of years, but is still basically the story of humanity and how we learn from our mistakes and how we can change if we change ourselves. And I, for one, I salute anyone who tries to add or learn from great art. I think great art thrives on being re-examined and reprocessed. But nevertheless, for me, the overall winner in this great adventure is Homer, and I, for one, am glad for that. It doesn't matter if Christopher Nolan's attempt really is good or bad. It's just good that it's done at all, and we should be thankful for that and salute his, no doubt, well-meaning and probably, as I say, extremely educational and insightful rendering. So, thank you for listening. I'm going off to see the movie. Hope you do the same at some stage. Have a good day.